well, but I may miss them. So thanks. Okay, welcome. Good morning. It's still morning. Yes, good morning. My name is Patrick Barel. A little bit about me. I've been working with Oracle since about '97. It's about 23 years now. I'm getting really old. Back then, it was just doing SQL queries for the customers. In '99, I started doing PL SQL, and that's mainly what I've been focusing on for the last 20 plus years. Did some Apex, played around with it a little bit. In about 2003, I started building plugins for PL SQL Developer. And in 2009, I started doing presentations. And that kind of got me the title of Oracle Ace in 2011. 2015, I got the Oracle Oracle Developer Choice Award, and in 2019, I was promoted to Oracle Ace Director. As I said, I've been building plugins for PL SQL Developer. I've also done some blogging. Actually, yesterday I did a blog since the first time since a long time. I've also written a couple of articles for All Things Oracle, but it doesn't exist anymore. But you can find the articles at the link provided there. I also had a column in the OTech magazine, but they don't exist anymore either. So I put the articles on my own blog or on my own website. These are my contact details. I will provide you with a PDF of this presentation after the talk is done. Like I said, I've been an Oracle Ace for a little over 10 years now. If you want to know more about the Oracle Ace program, go to the bit.ly link on the bottom of the screen. And if you want to nominate yourself or someone you know, I wouldn't nominate myself, but if you want to nominate someone you know, go to acenomination.oracle.com. As you probably all know, Oracle is now providing us with the always free cloud, always free tier, which gives you two autonomous databases, either data warehousing or transaction processing, each with 20 gigs of storage. You can build 2 compute VMs and a lot more. And it's free of charge. There's also a 30-day free trial, and that's for stuff that isn't included in the free tier. Okay, so today's talk, or this morning's talk, get your money's worth out of your Oracle database. It doesn't really matter how many resources you have if you don't know how to use them or you don't use them correctly. There will never be enough. And the Oracle database, the machines you see here are the top of the bill, the Exadata machines, Exalogics. It's just not just a piece of iron. You can put in as much iron as you want. If you don't know how to use them, it's not going to help you at all. These machines have more features than you'll probably ever will use. I don't have one of them underneath my desk. I just have my own laptop, and I can do pretty amazing stuff with that as well. First of all, data integrity and quality. Let's say you have a simple table. If you might know this as the M table, it's just abbreviated from the M table. Oh, by the way, on top of the screen, there's these little icons, XE, SE, Enterprise Edition, and 12C. That's for which versions this works. So this one works for just about every version you have. We put in some data, just the data from the M table. And if you have, if you create your business logic in the front end, in your front end application, which is the small computer, the blue computer screen, you can build your constraints, etc., in there. But there's always going to be someone, probably someone like me, coming in with an Oracle, with a SQL Plus like session to mess with your data. Let's say you have a rule: the salary should not be over 7,500. Your application will do something like an update demo unprotected, set twice the salary. And if it goes over 7,500, your application will stop it from working. But the SQL Plus, I can still do that. Let's say you don't want to have duplicate employee numbers. Let's try to insert someone with the employee number 7,900. Your application will stop it from working, but my SQL Plus session will get this one in there. Let's say you just want to have people working in existing departments. You might know the depth table, which has only departments 10, 20, 30, and 40. If I want to try to put somebody in the department 50, your front end will stop you from doing that, but I can still do that using SQL Plus. And there's a really simple solution for this. Let's say you build a new application, new front-end application. Let's also build some new business rules into the database. The rule: salary should not be over 7,500. If we alter the table and we add a constraint, the salary should be under 7,500, then both the application and the SQL Plus session will fail. If we want to have no duplicate employee numbers, we can do that by easily adding a primary key constraint on the table. If I try to do the insert, both of them will fail. And if I want to just be able to use existing departments, just use a foreign key constraint to the depth table, and both the application and the SQL Plus session will fail. Next topic: flashback queries. Let's say we create a simple table. Again, a bit like the employees table. And we insert some data again. And then there's a user 1 who does a select from the table for everybody in department 10. And she gets this result. If she then does an update and says everybody in department 10 gets a raise of 200, and she does the select again, she gets a different result. Now user 2 issues the exact same statement as user 1 did, but he will see the old versions. And now why is that? That is because she didn't commit yet. And when she does commit and he executes the statement again, he'll see the new values as well. Let's say we truncate the table, we put the data back, and let's say user 1 does a select, does the update, and commits right away. And then there's this uh-oh moment. She shouldn't have committed this update. And you cannot roll back after an update. So what should she do now? In this case, it was pretty easy. She can just do -200. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you have a very complex update there. What she can do is select all the data from the table as it was about a minute ago. Select from the table as of timestamp, and I get the sysdate minus 1 minute. And then you got the old versions back. You can also do a select from the table as of a SCN. I don't know about you guys, but I never check my SCN before I do an update. But actually, maybe you should. You should do a select DBMS Flashback Get System Change Number from dual. So you can always go back. Does Flashback also work if you truncate the table is a question. I think it does, but I'm not sure. I would have to check, but I would say it does, because you can even select from a table that has been dropped. So I think it should be working if you truncate it as well. But I would have to check. Or maybe you can check. I shouldn't have done that. Temporal validity. Let's say we have a table with employees, and we put in a couple of people, me and Stephen. Stephen doesn't really live at Chicago Boulevard. He doesn't even live at Chicago anymore. He doesn't work in Chicago Boulevard. This is the address I was working on up till 2.5 years ago. It's normal insert statements, and you get the data back from that. Let's say I changed employer, which I did a couple of years back. It's easy to do that. Just do an update and set the address to be the new address, and that's how we normally work. The thing is, I have to change employer and then update the address. Once I know that I'm going to change employer or move house, or I know about the change probably a month or maybe longer in advance, and I want to get the data in there already. Let's go back to the old versions, and then let's alter the table and add a period for the validity, for valid time. What it does, when you do a describe, you just see the first 3 columns, but you can select from the table by specifically mentioning the column valid time start and valid time end to display the data in there. If I then update my employees table and I say my end time is just a second before midnight on the 31st of January 2018, it'll get put in there in the table. And then I can insert a new record with the valid time start as of the 1st of February 2018. And when I then select everything, I get to see all the different versions. Now we enable temporal validity. And we do that by using the DBMS Flashback archive. Enable at valid time current, at the current time. Which records are valid at the current time? If I then do the select, I see my address is the new address because it's been valid since February 1st, 2018 until forever. And Stephen has been valid forever. But I can also say, give me the state of the database as it was on the 31st of January. If I then run the exact same query, I get different results. I get the old address back. I can also say it's valid as of the 1st of February, and I'll get the new results back. If I want to see all the rows in the table, then I'll say enable valid time all, and it'll show me all the rows there. Quick look at the questions. None. Data security. This is, by the way, a paid option. Data redaction. Let's say we have two persons, a business user and a maintenance person. And we got some sensitive data, like credit card numbers or what have you. The business person can see all the data and the sensitive data in a clear format. The maintenance person doesn't have to know all the exact data. He just needs to know the last 4 digits of the credit card number, for example. How do you do that? We create a table and we insert some very sensitive contract details. And then we add a policy. And the DBMS redact add policy, it says which schema, in my case the demo schema, which object do you want to have this working on? It's the sensitive data table. What's the policy name? You'll probably want to use a good name here because one, you want to know what it does, and two, you want to be able to enable, disable, and drop the policy later. On what column should this policy work? Well, in our case, just the contract column, and then the DBMS redact partial. That's the type we want to do. You have a DBMS redact none. I don't know why that one's there, but it doesn't redact anything. DBMS redact full for the entire thing, partial for just part of the text, and random. That's a lot of fun because it'll give you random numbers and digits and characters every time you select from it. And then you have function parameters. I'll have to look them up, like on the docs link under there. There's exactly what it does. And in this case, it says replace the first 12 digits by an X. And then the expression, when does this have to happen? Well, it has to happen when the user is not the business user. And that's how you get it redacted. And when you then select from the sensitive data as the business user, you get the entire text back. And if the maintenance person runs the exact same statement, he'll get the redacted version back. Another thing, the virtual private database. That's an enterprise edition option. Let's say you have a table with different records in there. And you have two groups of users. One user gets to see only the blue-ish records. The other user only gets to see the yellowish records. How do you do that? Well, you create a function, and this function should return a predicate. This function has two parameters, schema naming and table naming. You can give them different names, but that's how Oracle's gonna call them. VPD function, first schema name, then the table name. It should always return a predicate. In this case, what I'm checking is the business user, then will return depno in 1030, and when it's MP, maintenance person, we'll give 2040 back. And after that, you add this policy to the table. And which schema, in this case, the object schema is the demo. The object name is the MVPD. The policy name, like I said before, you need that to enable, disable, and drop the policy. The function schema, where does the function reside? It doesn't have to be in the same schema as where the object is located. And then the name of the function, so VPD func in this case. And then when you select from this table, if you're in the business users, you'll just get the departments 10 and 30. And if you're in the maintenance persons group, you get the departments 20 and 40. Oracle just under the covers adds the predicate to the SQL statement you just issued. And there's a lot more in security in the Oracle database, but I didn't have time to check that all out. Performance increase, let's see. Okay. Of course, we want to get the results of a query as fast as we can. Let's see what result cache can do. Let's create a table with just a number in there, and we insert 5 different records into this table. And then I create a very slow function. This slow function, all it does is it sleeps for a second and then returns whatever I sent it. So if I execute, set the timing on, if I execute this very slow function from on this table, it executes in just about 5 seconds, 5 and a bit. Now, if I put result cache on there, it executes in even slower. So it didn't really help, I think. Well, actually it did. It filled up a result cache. So the next time the Oracle database sees the exact same query, it'll give me the results in nearly no time at all, because it doesn't even execute the function anymore. It doesn't execute the query anymore. It just knows this is the result. If I make the very slow function deterministic and I run the queries again, the first time is about 5.5 seconds, which is the first time I issued the query. The second time is nearly no time at all. The good news is it's even cross-session. So if I'm the first one in the office executing the query, I'll take the penalty for being early. If somebody else comes in like 10 minutes after me and executes the query I just executed, they'll get the instant results. That's the query result cache. We also have a function result cache. Let's create a function result cache table and insert 10 rows with 3 different values, 1, 2, and 3. And if we create again the very slow function, and if the first person executes this, it takes about 10 seconds, which makes sense. 10 rows, 10 times the sleep of 1 second is about 10 seconds. And the second person, same. If we then add deterministic to the function, it takes about 4 seconds for the first time because we have 3 unique values. And for the other one, also just about 4 seconds. But if we then add result cache to the function, the first one executes in about 3 seconds. The second session executes in no time at all. And as long as there's no change in the data, my own session will also execute in nearly no time at all. Okay. Yeah. Let's say you do an application upgrade. What normally happens is you when you do an upgrade and you add some objects, tables, and packages, etc., is no problem. If you change tables, you're in a bit of a bad spot. Things will go invalid. If you change package specifications, a lot of things will go invalid as well. If you drop tables, same thing. So what you would actually want to do, what you normally do is you prevent new sessions from starting. You wait for the current sessions to end, or if you're a bit like me, you'll just terminate all the current sessions, and then you perform the update, the upgrade, or bug fixes, or whatever you need to do. And during this piece of the upgrade, you're wasting the user's time because they cannot use the database. After that, you'll just resume the normal operation. Wouldn't it be great if you had something like a parallel universe where you can just build the new system and then have the people roll over to the new database, new version? There is something like edition-based redefinition. If you want to know more about edition-based redefinition, it takes an entire talk to explain you just the basics of edition-based redefinition. But what it comes down to is there are additionable and non-additionable objects. Non-additionable is the tables, the materialized views, and the database links. They are the same for every edition. They don't change, but you can have different versions in different editions of packages, procedures, functions, triggers, views, types, and synonyms. Okay, some special SQL features. Let's see how I'm doing for time. Just 15 minutes. Let's say you want to retrieve the top 3 earning employees. And I hope you don't do it like this. Select the first 3 rows and then order by salary descending. So what Oracle will do is, as it is heap oriented, it will just pick the first 3 rows it finds, and then after it gets the result, it orders the results before it shows them to you. What you should do is you should select from an ordered subselect. This what you're doing is in the inner query, selecting all the employees from E2, and you order them by salary descending, and then on top of that one, you'll just select the first 3 rows. And nowadays we do this with a query with factored query with the ordered salary. We select the row number less than 4. In Oracle 12, you can now do pretty much what we did before. Select from the table order by salary descending, and then just fetch the first 3 rows. and it'll give you the correct result. It is actually syntax candy. It's written a bit like the one, the one on the right is written a bit like the one on the left. But I don't care because I have to do less typing. If I want to retrieve the next 3 top earning employees, what I had to do is select the ordered salary and then get me the row numbers between 4 and 6. And what I can now do is select the data I want, offset 3 rows, and then fetch the next 3 rows only. In 12c, we can also build SQL, PL SQL in SQL. As you all may know or may not know, if you create a PL SQL function, in this case, the function that just alternates the upper and lower case of a string, if you call that from a SQL statement, you'll get a penalty for the context switches. The SQL engine has to go to the PL SQL engine and switch. When the PL SQL engine is done, it has to switch back to the SQL engine, and that's going to cost you a lot of time. We can now do a PL SQL function within the SQL statement. So we write the function in the with function, then we put the function there and then select that one. And the result is pretty much the same, except that I changed the upper and lower case here. But it's a lot faster because the database doesn't have to switch between SQL and PL SQL engine. Pros and cons. The pros is it's faster than doing this on a regular PL SQL function, especially on larger data sets, because the logic is closer to its use. The con, and I think that's the biggest downside of this, you cannot reuse this logic. In 12. In 20, there should be something, and it's probably backported to 19. There should be something like SQL macros, but I haven't worked with that as much as I wanted to. Virtual columns. Let me check the time. Okay. Virtual columns. Let's create a table with the income where the last column is generated always as the total income, the salary plus a plus the commission, if any. If I want to insert into this column, I can just insert like I did, except that I cannot insert into the income column because it is generated, and even though I give it the correct values, it doesn't let me do that. If I select from the table, the income column gets populated on the fly. This is a funny thing to use to annoy your co-workers if they're doing select star from a table. If you create a table and you add a column which has generated always as 1 divided by 0, you add a virtual column. If somebody does a select star from this table, still get an error. Select star and divisor is equal to 0. But if you know the column names and you just leave out the last one, you can still get the data from the table. Maybe you guys don't have access to 18 or 19C yet. Oh, I'll get back to the question. Maybe you don't have access to the 18C or 19C database yet, but you can always go to the Oracle Cloud. Either use the free tier or use livesql.oracle.com, where you can learn a lot of SQL, share whatever you found out. Try and play around with all the stuff I just mentioned. You'll get a schema which is gone after you log off, and the schema has just about everything you need. Well, you can, like I said, the schema will be gone when you log off, so make sure you save all your work in scripts so you can come back later. And you can, of course, always use the free tier. Can PL SQL, a question just came up, can PL SQL in SQL with function select from be used as regular select statement in, for example, Apex region source or source of view database object? I don't know for Apex. It is a regular SQL statement. The database should just be should just work with that. But I'm not sure about Apex. So I hope you can find this out and let me know. Identity columns. This is something in 12c, probably because we want to be able to get people to come from other database vendors to Oracle, and they have identity columns. What we used to do is we created a table with a unique column, and then we create a sequence for this unique column, and then after that we create a trigger on the table before insert or update, and to make sure that the column gets filled with the value of the sequence. And that connects the sequence using the trigger to the table. What we can now do is, instead of creating just a number column, we can now create the identity column as identity. And that makes the sequence obsolete, and that makes the trigger obsolete. So it was actually true memories of the old days, because I don't really like to do extra work. 5 minutes. Invisible columns. I did click, didn't I? Yeah. Let's say I create a table, show I'm the important man. And if I do a select star from this table, I get the data. I am the important man. Now I alter the table, modify the important column to be invisible. And if I then execute a select star from this table, I get I am the man. If, however, I do select all the different columns, the columns from the table, I still get the data back. So it isn't dropped, it is not visible anymore in the select star thing, and also not in the describe functions. Last one, whitelisting. What the heck is whitelisting? Well, it is telling people to be, or telling your code to be able to be run from certain parts of other parts of the code. Let's say we have a procedure only whitelisted. It is only accessible by the a procedure, normal procedure. So if I create a procedure called normal procedure, I can call the only whitelist one, and we're all good. If I, on the other hand, create a procedure evil procedure and try to call the only whitelisted one, it doesn't let me do that. If, however, I get the evil procedure to select the normal procedure, I still can get to the whitelisted because I'm calling it from the normal procedure. And that is it, and I'm almost on time. Are there any more questions? No? In that case, thank you for your attention. And I hope to see you this afternoon.
And dear Patrick, thank you as well for your presentation. I'm really glad that you were with us. And now we will leave your presentation and we're going to have a break.
Okay.
Take your water, take your coffee, and we will see in 10 minutes. Bye.
Bye.